Still on conditional statements, let's take a look at the while loop. Loops are very helpful in repeating lots of code. Instead of repeating almost the same lines of code over and over, we can use loops to perform tasks like this. With the while loop, it executes a block of code as long as the assigned condition is true. For instance, let's take a scenario where we want to count the number of fruits, or even let's say you want to count numbers all the way up to 500. That means we need a lot of echo statements for this. Even if you manage to do this and you wanted to change something, you'd have to go all the way back to the last 499 numbers and change everything. Luckily, we have the while loop to help us out. Let's check out its syntax. So we type while, and then the condition will go inside this parenthesis, and this is the statement block. So let's count numbers. First, let me create a variable. I'll name this numbers, which will equal 0. Now, in the while loop, the condition I'll set is whilst numbers is less than 500. Let's make it less than or equal to 500. We want exactly 500. So this is the condition now. What if the numbers is less than or equal to 500? Then we do whatever is in this block of code, which in our case, we want to print numbers up to this condition. Okay, so what I'll echo is so what I just did is I just typed the echo statement, the number is currently, and then this will print out the current number. Now, one last thing before we run this program. We need to find a way to end the loop, else this will keep on running until like the aliens come to Earth or something, because the condition will always be 0. That's what we specified in this variable, and we are saying that whilst it is less than or equal to 500, which is 0, will always be true. So the solution to this is we need to increase the numbers variable by 1 every time the loop runs. So what we can do is you type numbers equal to numbers plus 1. So we are saying the current number plus 1. So if it runs once, it adds 1 to it. When it runs the next time, it adds to it, and so on and so forth. But we can write better code by shortening it to numbers plus equals 1, just like this. Or we can even use the increment operator, which means add 1 each time. So all of these are good choices. Let me comment one out, and now let's save this and run our code. So you can, let me zoom this out a bit. So you can see whatever that we wrote. Well, this is a mess. Let's clean up this code a bit. Since HTML plays nicely with PHP, we just have to make the echo statement generate a line break after every count. Let me put this on a new line. So I'll echo out line break. And now I forgot to add quotes. Now let's save this. This looks much better. So the number currently starts at 0, and then it's saying while the number is less than 500. Is it less than 500? Yeah, it's 0. So we echo out the number is currently, that's what we have on the first line, and then a line break which takes it to the next line, and then we have the numbers which added 1 to it. So the number is currently 1 now, and then the loop starts again because that condition hasn't been met yet. Because currently it's 1. We added 1 here from the previous loop. The number is currently, then we have 1. We echo a line break, then we add 1 to it, then making these numbers 2. So that's how this loop runs all the way up to the number 500, because we specified that it should be less than or equal to 500. This means if the condition becomes false, then the code stops. Else, you will have a code which never stops if you never put a condition which stops it, like we did here. And this is very bad. It might even crash your computer. So always make sure you have something, a code which helps you stop a condition to prevent an infinite loop. Alright, let's take a look at the next one.